Hey everybody, this is Nikki and I'm here to do a video on my Freestyle Libre, a video that is personal experience, personal opinion, not to be used as medical advice. And I will tell you there's kind of a lot of background information on the data I collected for the Libre. But the one thing that I want to say is that whatever I present, I hope people will keep in mind that these were the results I got on it. These were the results I got on it compared to my Rely On Prime blood glucose meter and compared to my Guardian sensor. I got the idea for doing a video because somebody had commented on a YouTube video a while back mentioning that they would like to see a video on it. I did collect 30 days worth of data, which I thought was a significant amount. I thought it really gave me a good idea of its strengths and weaknesses. And I even have the Libre, thank you, fudiabetes.org, where I'm getting lots of really good ideas and things to do. And so that was from Piano Player, based on her suggestion. And I have been very happy with it overall. And in collecting data for my Libre, what I did come across was some very interesting data for the Guardian. While collecting the data, because originally it was going to just be a comparison between my BG and my meter and my Libre, but because I do log all of my sensor data, it was easier just to put the Libre information with that data. So it quickly became a three-way comparison, and then it quickly took on a life of its own and revealed some very interesting stuff. Now, I would like to say before I give you any of the data at all of these numbers are based off of my Libre, my Rely On Prime meter, and my Guardian sensor. I love my Rely On, and I just did 4 tests with the Rely On where I've seen that its reliability is immaculate. I mean, it's an amazingly reliable device. However, there's been some concern over whether or not my readings are higher than what my actual BG is. So now I'm kind of off in a new thing trying to figure that out. But this is diabetes, and as soon as you figure out what one number means, there's 6 more that show you something completely different. And that's where I am with it right now. However, I will say that before sitting down to do this video, I have sat with my One Touch. I broke up my old One Touch, and I've done a whole lot of comparisons. And what I have seen is that my One Touch is not reliable. I mean, it's back-to-back readings, 30 points off, 30 points different. And I'm not sure that my Rely On is reading any higher than that. So I really do think that I have been wearing this I've been using the Rely On for a solid 3 or 4 months. Everything has been going really well. I don't have any reason to believe that it's not giving me good blood sugar readings. So with that being said, I would like to try to do quicker where I give you guys a little bit of information on the Libre data. The Freestyle Libre. Basically, this is your handheld device. This is your reader. This is my sensor. It's a disposable sensor. It does go on the back of your arm. That has presented a bit of a problem for me because I'm an arm swinger. It seems that I keep whacking it out of my arm on the bathroom door jamb. So I don't know why that would be, but it is. And that's why there's 16 pieces of tape holding mine down right now. However, I would like to say that it got knocked out on day 3. I'm now on day 10, and it hung in there with the tape, and it's gone really well. It was the second one that I've almost knocked out. The first one I did knock out, which brings me to the fact that I have collected 30 days worth of data for the Libre, and that was with 4 sensors because one did get knocked out, and this sensor is now 4 days, well, not this one, but the one that I ended on was 4 days in when I just stopped collecting data. So for a total of 30 days, and here's the reader. And basically what would happen is I would turn it on. This is gonna tell me I only have a couple hours left. But it just tells me to check my glucose. So I would scan it, and now this is reminding me to change it. It says 7 hours. It usually doesn't show that. It usually takes you right to your blood sugar, and it is that easy. It's a one-time, you insert it on day 1. It's got a 12-hour warm-up period, and there are no calibrations, and that is actually very nice too. In general, it seems for me to remain equally as reliable and accurate for the entire 10 days. So I think that's great. Okay, so this is compared to my Guardian. And this is what I have. Actually, well, I'll show you one thing really quick, just so you know what I was looking at. these are 30 days worth of data. So not all days were even. Some days there were 10 tests, some days there were 20 tests, some days there were 4 tests, but it was 30 days worth. And I did make sure that whatever I collected, that I calculated it according to how many tests there were for, say, the Libre. So if there had only been 78 tests there, I'd divide by 78. If there had been only 40 of the Guardian, I would divide by 40. So I am, I'm trying to make these numbers be correct and make sense. And I was pretty thorough. So, and then I have some daily summaries. And so that was the breakdown by day. And then these are the actual totals. Okay, so total of days, total number of days, 30 days, total number of sensors, 4 sensors, and compare it against the Rely-On Prime. So I did 3 different categories, and I will explain to you why I think these made sense. I first compared what percentage of the total scores fell within 15% of my blood glucose meter within my Rely-On. I chose that because I felt like that was a reliability or consistency, area. The second one I did was the percent of scores where my Libre actually was closer to my BG than my Guardian, and I was kind of looking at that just as far as accuracy goes. I don't know if you can hear my cat, but she's having a rough day. My cat is in heat, and she's going to choose this moment to growl. But anyway, or knock stuff down. That's what's coming. Okay, and the third category is the percentage of discrepancies that were greater than 20 off of my BG. This one can point to accuracy, but in my experience with my Guardian, I feel like most of when I saw more than 20 points off, it was reflective of the lag. So this category, to me, you can take it or leave it, but to me, that category represents how well the Libre was able to handle the lag. As I said, the Guardian had some surprising results, and I do think I'm going to come back and do a video on the Guardian, but not until I'm able to compare it up against the Contour Next Link, which is in the mail. Okay, so total values. In category number 1, I had 272 values that I compared up against the BG, and 79% of my Libre readings were within 15% of my BG reading. 79% were within 15% of my blood glucose. The Guardian, 64% were within 15% of my blood glucose. So in that category, Libre did do better. Percent of scores where Libre was closer to my BG than the Guardian. The total number of scores were 248. That's where I was able to compare. I had both scores in order to compare them. Total number of scores closer to BG. This is the total number of scores where my Libre actually was closer. It was 144 out of the 248, which was 58%. So the Libre was closer 58% of the time. So as far as I'm concerned, that is category number 2 where Libre wins. And when I went into this, I didn't think Libre was going to win. I was just hoping it would be comparable. But that's 2/3 of the categories where Libre actually appeared to perform better than my Guardian. And the last category was the percent of discrepancies greater than 20. Again, I think this gets at that lag. Total number of values for the Libre were 272. Total number greater than 20 were 55. So 55 out of 272 values were greater than 20 points off of my BG, and that was 20%. Guardian, my total number of values were 256. I had to drop a couple. Either I never got a reading. That was in this category. I would have dropped it only if I didn't have the reading. So that's why there would be a difference in values and number of values. So the total number of values is 256. The total number of values that were greater than 20 points off of the actual BG was 82. So that gave a total of 32% of my values, my Guardian values that were more than 20 points off of my BG. Again, getting at that lag. For me, my Guardian loves to lag, and it's slow to get caught up. And I would say that what I could see all the time is that the Libre was really fast to pick up, was to cover that lag, to cover that ground. It did sometimes in an over-eager fashion, jump too high, but it's a more powerful machine than whatever. those were the values. I do have to say again, one more time, I'll repeat it again, that there is some chance that maybe my rely on is reading higher. Now, if that's the case, then that would shift all of my scores and it would give me different results. I think my rely on is really fine. And based on a couple of days where I've seen my one touch, where it's given me 3 readings that has looked significantly lower than what the other 3 devices, my Guardian rely on, and now my rely on Premier, is looking significantly lower. But then when I've retested 10 seconds later, because I'm like, I can't believe that there's that big of a discrepancy, it's the next test has revealed that it's right inside. So the one touch, I don't know that it's a difference in how they're reading as much as it is that my one touch is just not that reliable. So I set out to do something on the Libre, and what I've discovered is that my one touch is, and my Guardian is, that's it. And I am 11 minutes into this. I think I got it done. fudiabetes.org. I will say that they have an article on there, and I'll try to provide the link, where somebody is giving a technical explanation of how to set up your Libre in order to be used with open loop stuff. So it is, as you can see, that one's a little above where I am right now. I got the trusty old 670G, so I don't need to be there. But in case you were kind of looking at maybe what some potential is with the Libre, then you can do that too. That's it. That was really long. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.